because
Mm.
so much of intuition and our knowing comes from your gut and from your heart.
Oh,
And
yeah.
when you physically take that breath, I think it brings it together.
It might even integrate. Welcome, coaches, to the Coaching Magic Podcast, where we reveal, discover, and create the insights, tools, and aha moments that make your coaching seem, well, magical. I'm your host, Jill Young, and I invite you to listen up, giddy up, and buckle up as we play with this creative profession of coaching that helps humans become their best, including you. Coaches, today I am so excited to share this episode with you. Kristan Bishop is a coach. She's an EOS implementer, and she has her background in music, yoga, as well as business and all things entrepreneur land. Today, Kristan and we unpack how music is like coaching. We talk about and unfold the power of the pause and what happens when it's not there. It's so much fun to explore this with her in the land of music. At the end, Kristan sings us a song, so be listening to that. But some other fun surprises to be listening for. Kristan gives me a new definition that I had never really integrated. We play on that word too, integrate, into my awareness. There's also a lot of shout out to David Rock today because I'm preparing to teach a whole bunch of coaches some of the David Rock scarf model. So if you're a fan of the scarf model, we also play around with that a bit. Lots and lots of play happening right here on the Coaching Magic podcast. I hope you enjoy it. My goodness, now you are a podcast junkie.
Yeah, I'm a newbie.
You're well, see, after you've done a few, you're just a veteran. It's good. Now you're just know what you're doing now. That's fun. Well, Kristan, I have been looking forward to having you on the podcast for a long, long time. Our calendars are richly scheduled, like we like to say. But here we are. Yay!
Yay.
Here we are. Just dropping into the present moment. I'm so happy you're here. Um, can I start with telling you how I talk about you all the time?
Uh, okay.
Okay. So in Coaching Magic, when we start Coaching Magic School, usually one of the first questions that people ask is, okay, so Jill, what do you mean when you say magic? And I like to give a whole bunch of different definitions, presence, intuition, love. Sometimes it's just a feeling. And these days, I have been adding a definition that you offered to us of namaste. I'm wondering if you would both just like unfold that for us, why namaste is, why you put that into our cauldron, why you offered it, where it comes from. Can we start with that?
Sure. So when I started coaching magic, I was so drawn to it because I love you. I've seen you. I love your energy. I love the way you approach coaching, how you draw amazing people together. And that was one of the really special things. I didn't love the word magic. For some reason, I felt like it was an illusion. It wasn't, so that was my sort of hesitation, but I had a gut feeling and an intuition, and I went with it. And then as we started, I realized, oh, this is similar to namaste, which means the light in me honors and sees the light in you. And that to me is coaching magic. And that is what I embraced with that amazing group of people and you leading us and guiding us. And my background is not just in business, having owned and helped run 3 businesses, but I'm a yoga teacher and a musician, and that's part of who I am. And I think part of going through coaching magic with you allowed me to bring those things. They were already in my coaching, but it allowed me to bring those things in more fully without
Mm.
holding back.
Mm. Oh, that's I love that so much. These pieces that you already are. I'm feeling the word integrating
Mhm.
your business side, your music side, which we're going to talk about music, business side, music side, yoga side, and it's integrating all of them. There's a there's a play on the word integrate that I love. I just say it in to great.
I love that.
When we integrate it, then you're into your greatness, into
Right.
your magic. And when you shared that with me the first time, the namaste, it's not the first time I had heard it, but when we hear something in a new context, I feel like it adds to our perspective of life. And for coaches, if we can have a wider perspective, if we can zoom out and see many more different angles of the same thing, I feel like we're able to hold maybe a more gentle space for everything is allowed.
Right. And that perspective too, I think when we say to people you need to get out of the business to work on the business,
Mm.
so much of that is perspective and mindset and really creating that mindset. And I love that you liked the namaste. I was hoping it wasn't in any way, but that was just me bringing it all to the table. That's how I felt. That's how I felt it. That's how I integrated it. But you're right, that perspective, bringing that different perspective and bringing ourselves. I love what you just said that into great. Like those are the kind of things that make me love you. That is so true. When we truly integrate and when we integrate our teams and everything they bring and their different perspectives, that's when great things happen.
Mm. It's when the magic happens.
It's when
It's when the insight occurs. It's when the idea emerges. It's when the human being gets out almost out of themselves so they can see themselves. Hmm, mm. I'm getting ready to teach a class um, for a big group of coaches. There's like 100 coaches in this group, and I'm going to refer to David Rock's model of scarf. So I'm preparing for that, and one of the things that he said, so I literally an hour ago was on my calendar, like prepare for this. One of the things he said was about perspective, and I think it's a really magic moment that I just glanced down. And you guys, I'm a messy person. Part of my magic is I'm messy. I know where everything is. I have, there's some discipline that is lacking, maybe, but this is my magic and this is how it works. I look down and I just see sticking out on a piece of paper one piece of note that I had taken, and it's perfect for this conversation. So I'm going to read it.
okay.
This isn't this magic. It just like it was
It
there and
just
it's just
shows
staring
up.
at me. So and then you brought up that beautiful model that we will draw for clients of here's your business, you're working in it, and it's a square and it's all messy. And we would like you to extract yourself to work on it. And we point the arrow at the top of this box and it's expansive and there's no box. It's like, let's work on it. So David Rock said that this is one of the reasons why models work for us, different perspectives work for us. He says, when we understand our experience, okay, you're looking at it, you can look at it, we
Right.
have more choices. That
So when you're
blew
stepping
my
back
mind. Yeah.
when you're stepping back and looking at it, how do you have more choices? Help me understand that.
Yeah. Literally, I just wrote it down an hour ago. So we're going to figure it out together.
Okay.
Okay. Because this is what we do on the Coaching Magic podcast.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to sprinkle some things in there when we understand our experience. So this means we're reflecting on it, we're putting it into a different form, we're zooming back. Maybe even I can sense like putting some distance between us and the experience, time
Right.
heals. a broken
Yep.
heart. I'm just geeking out on this. We have more choices. I wonder if it's because we have access now, because we can see it in different forms. Sometimes we say in coaching magic, when we can open that pantry door and we see all the tools available to us, we have more choices. Maybe because we can see them instead of just packing them into a closet or shoving them under the rug. We don't have you don't have access to all of the things that you might choose. That's my unpacking.
And when
What are
you
you
said that
sensing?
about the unpacking and the opening up the pantry, I think sometimes we get really tunnel vision. We see what's right in front of us, and I'm gonna get into this, as I think social media sort of feeds us more of what we wanna see and just emboldens us, "Yes, that's it, that's it, that's it."
Mm.
So we're moving forward like this, and we're having certain ideas are being fed and
Hmm.
encouraged. And when we step back and we get this wider view, and I talk with my hands,
Me too.
when we get this
If we're
wider
not
view,
watching this on YouTube, please go watch this clip because both Kristen and I went, "Woo!" with our hands.
then all
'Cause
of a sudden you see, you're right, you see more options, more opportunities, more, you have a bigger perspective to be able to choose from. And you mentioned scarf. I've just been reading Brene Brown
ooh,
and
she has
her
a new
newest
book
book.
out, I
Yeah,
hear.
and she
Oh.
talks about in most of her books, but it made me think of this, the paradoxes, because when you step back and you see a wider option and you've just been in this one area, all of a sudden you realize that there's more than one way to do it. And I
Mm,
think with our teams, when we can get them to have that wider perspective, when we can get them to be open to a new way of doing something or a new
mm,
perspective, it just opens up so many possibilities. So I love that.
so
What does
many
SCARF
possible.
stand for?
SCAR stands for it's a model that really
Mhm.
describes how social we are.
Okay.
We think we're all up here. We think we're all about this goal we've said. But really, David Rock says we're just really social and emotional creatures. And the way he shares the model, and, of course, we love it as coaches. Leaders, managers, humans can use it too. But the way we like to use it as coaches is to encourage connection and momentum
Mm.
and moving forward, and to minimize anywhere that we would have a threat response in the people that we're coaching. So, increase the motivation chemicals
Mhm.
and decrease those threat response chemicals. So, he says he gives five areas that we can pay attention to this. And I'm going to tell you what SCARF is, but he said, like, if we just pay attention to these five things, if we just know them, just that alone being taught, just knowing it helps us understand our experience almost instantly, which is why I love mental models. And then we have more choices. So here it is. I'm glad you asked. Let me see if I can pull it from memory because I didn't write it on here because I used to know it. Uh, the scarf, here we go. The S stands for status. So, to
Okay.
the degree we can support someone as being belonging to the group,
Right.
or on the threat side, we're like, no, 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 you are not part of the group. So you can feel that, right? I just saw
Right.
you. You just felt it. Like, oh yeah, that's a biggie. The C stands for certainty. To the degree we can help people know that there is a little certainty, that there is a plan, there's some stability and some normalcy there, that
Okay.
increases like the go chemical, like, let's go.
Right.
Ooh, there is no certainty, there is no plan. Whoo, hesitation. The A stands for autonomy. So
Mm.
the degree which we give people choices. So yeah, you have choices. Fluid, we talk about fluidity in coaching magic. Fluid, we have choices, or no, you have to do what you're told. You can sense that, right?
Right.
I can sense it. Even describing it again, I'm like sensing expansive or contracted with these words. The R stands for relatedness. So
Mm.
like, yes, you are part of the group. We get along. We know each other. I'm not just a number to you. And the last one is fairness. And this one kind of like rubbed me the wrong way originally because I'm like, the fair comes to town twice a year. And it maybe is a little bit of how I was raised, or a lot of bit of how I was raised. If you don't work, you don't get paid. And life's not fair. And my parents are very loving, but also like, this is just how life is. But this is really around social fairness,
Mhm.
where if Kristen, if I was treating you one way, if I was really hard on you, but then just went really, really easy on everybody else, what it actually does is it triggers that threat response in everybody if I'm
Oh,
treating you unfairly. Isn't that interesting?
that is interesting. 2 things that came up for me
I can't wait.
were, when I'm in the group, and this is a yoga thing, um, I say to them, "If you notice that you're getting defensive or you are getting, just that feeling you're getting tense, take a deep breath. That's a reaction. Take a deep breath and respond with a question to try to understand where the person's coming from because it may not be what you think. You're reacting for a reason, and really notice that when you react and really try to do a nice deep belly breath and ask a question. Because I just feel like that react versus respond. When you respond, you're doing it just from a different place. So when you were talking about that, scarf and coming from a place of fear, I think sometimes it's maybe a misperception.
I think so. I
And
think
right?
totally. And we do. We scratch. I like to call it scratch. We scratch on each other.
Right.
Bump up against each other, and there's friction, and there's um. It, I don't even know if we can call it a misinterpretation because it's just an interpretation
Right. You're
of
right. Yes, that's a
of that
great. Yeah.
of that. But if we know that this is David Rock, I'm bringing him up a lot because he's at the top of my head. He says it's just when we just say, well, that's how my brain is reacting. My brain has different goals than my heart and my spirit. It's this beautiful tool to make me aware there might be a threat. But Kristen, you just brought that into such beauty for us. Such a simple tool, our breath. Just take a breath in that in between your reaction where you would react, just a breath, a space.
And I think it does what you just said,
Yeah.
maybe you're in your brain and that's why you're reacting and having this response that's not wrong or right or anything. It's just what's happening. But maybe by taking the breath, you get more into your gut and your heart because
Mm.
so much of intuition and our knowing comes from your gut and from your heart.
Oh,
And
yeah.
when you physically take that breath, I think it brings it together. Um, and
It might even integrate. What? Could it integrate? I am finding this so lovely and fascinating that we started with this phrase, when we understand our experience, we have more choices. We're unpacking what we feel that means. I shared what scarf means, and then essentially you brought us right back to that statement. When
Mm,
we understand our experience, because you and I just understood the experience of that statement, we took a step back and you said, oh, here's a choice, a breath,
right.
and we have access to these choices. Oh, it's just so, you clearly know I'm passionate about coaching. And this is what I just feel. I feel it I'm feeling it integrated all over. This is what coaches do for humans who are who are stuck or wanting to become their best. We help them understand their experience, and then they have more choices. We open up possibilities for that.
And it's funny when you brought up the fairness, which I think a lot of our responses come from our experience, right? Just our life experiences,
Of
whether it
course.
was growing up as a teenager, as an adult, whatever. My parents were both social workers. They were, I feel very fortunate, grateful. We talked about everything. You
Mm,
talked. Sometimes there were 4 conversations going on and they were loud, but everything was out. But my mother talked about fairness, that fairness doesn't mean everyone gets the same thing. Fairness means everybody gets what they need.
wow.
And so my idea of fairness is, what does, we have 3 boys, they're grown, they're wonderful, they're all very different, but very close and close with us. Fairness doesn't mean they all get the exact same thing. It means, what do they need?
Mm,
And one might need a little bit of a encouragement, maybe
mm,
and
mhm,
one might need a hug. And, it just means, and I think that that's true for so many areas in our lives, that, what does fairness mean? What do people need? So I
mm,
love that last one being fairness. And I like the relate too, because I think we all do want to relate to each other. But me going back to, you're reading David Rock, I'm reading Brene Brown. She talks a lot about you want to be able to relate, but without having to change who you are, without feeling like you need to change who you are to fit in. And I think when you do that, there go the, remember we talked about expanding our view and our perspective, that all of a sudden, puts those blinders back on, and we don't have all those wonderful options, that when we bring people with different perspectives together, different ideas, different backgrounds, that's when the magic happens. And that just,
mm.
I didn't plan that.
I I'm so grateful and like sitting here in such like simple enjoyment, simple pleasure that you have brought me this definition of fairness that's so simple. Everyone gets what they need. It's not everyone's not going to get the same thing.
Right.
Everyone's going to get what they need. And if I take that simple definition and now put it back into my experience so that I step back and have more choices,
Right.
I can see that that is and feel that that is absolutely true. There I I don't treat all of my clients the same.
Right.
They all get what they need.
Right.
There's been times I've been in session or sitting one-on-one with a coach. I'm silent most of the time. And other times I'm like Energizer Bunny and I'm throwing candy around and I guess it's that point of where um, I'm dancing. Yeah, I'm dancing in the what is needed.
Right.
Yeah, what is needed.
And I heard in one of your other episodes, you were talking about a coach, and that you were kind of always high energy and energetic. And I had a coach too that said, think of your music when you're like high energy and talking fast. Sometimes, like, that's a lot for people. Slow
Mhm,
down. Like when you
mhm,
put your hands together like this, apparently it
mhm.
slows you down. Slow down. When you're singing, sometimes you have soft
Mm.
songs and it draws people in, and then you hit that high note, and that means more than if you were just staying up at that high note. You can't sustain it and no one would want to hear it. So it's so interesting when we bring that to our coaching also, coming in and out, like you said, throwing candy and being excited. You're not going to do that all the time.
Mm-mm.
Sometimes you're sitting and being silent. And I think that's one thing I've learned, is in the silence is where so much happens. And it's easy
Mm.
to not want to avoid silence, right?
Let's
It's
Yes.
hard to,
Okay, let's go there. Okay, let's go there. This is gonna be fun
mm,
because you said earlier music. You're a musician, you play guitar beautifully. I've heard some of your songs, I've seen some of your videos. You're so
thank
nice to
you.
share. You are a musician and you are in a band with your son.
It's so cool.
It's
I
so
feel so
cool.
lucky. Yep.
So there's this thing in music, and you've already started to introduce us to the dynamics in
Right.
music. Loud, soft, um, and you've written some songs too. So I
Hmm.
want to play around with this silence. And a dear friend said to me years ago, maybe a dozen years ago, he said, it's in between the notes that the notes have their meaning, something like that. And he said, "Oh, it's a quote by somebody," and I've never found it. But there's silence in coaching, and we'll say often, "Let the silence do the heavy lifting." And there's silence in music and gaps and rhythm. So I'm wondering if you've ever riffed on the silence and dynamics of music, silence and dynamics of coaching, if we've ever integrated that or if we're about to do it for the first time ever.
We're sort of about to do it for the first time, but it was that coach, that Kobe, that said to me, like, "Music gets soft sometimes, come
Okay.
down and then bring it back up." And that's when I started to kind of connect the 2
Hmm.
in bringing it down. But recently, my son's an engineer, and so we play for fun. We play, 4, 5, 6 times a year. But he went back and was listening to a song, and he plays lead guitar. We both sing and play. He writes, I write. But when I'm playing, he typically is playing lead guitar. And he said, "I'm playing too much." He said, "I need to just
Wow.
come in and do smaller
Mm.
pieces, not just, playing lead the whole time, but just coming in and filling." And I loved when he said that because I love that he plays lead. I love to hear it, but I also understand what he means. When you do it in pieces, it's more noticeable. It's more
Mm.
significant. It adds more.
Mm.
Like something might be great in a recipe, but if you put in too much of it, too much salt, it ruins it. So I think that that's the silence, is knowing when to back off. And I think that there's a real flow to music,
Hmm.
and we'll sometimes have a set list and then I'll change it based on the audience and how they're reacting or how we're feeling.
Mhm.
There's a flow, and there's a flow in coaching. And we talked about that, the dance in coaching magic, really being aware and in the moment. And I think that awareness, that energetic listening, and that awareness helps you understand the flow and when you can be silent and allow people to really come out, and when you can encourage and maybe be more, energetic and enthusiastic. So I guess the music and the coaching, I have thought about it for the loud and soft and the crescendo. Music, you crescendo, you build up, or I think it's called decrescendo, you bring it down. And knowing when to put in the little spice, the little lead guitar. And it's a science. I mean, I think we have to practice, 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 practice to be able to then just let it flow.
Hmm. These, so I was also in a band. Yeah,
Ow!
I was also in a band for about 5 years, maybe between I was 35 and 40.
How do I
So
not know this?
I
Okay,
know,
I'm
right? There you
curious.
go.
Yes.
I was the lead singer in a
Okay.
band. It was very very similar to your band. We'd play twice a month.
Right.
Backyard barbecues, 50th wedding anniversary. We had a standing gig at Central Market. That was really cool. And as you're describing this, I can feel this of the set list and, oh, hey, the crowd's really feeling this way. Let's play this one. I also remember a few key times, really just only a few that I can recall in the band, where I was like singing into the microphone and like everything became one. The music
Mm.
and the voice and everything just it just kind of was flowing, and it was there, and I had maybe had my eyes closed and I ended the song and I opened my eyes and it was everybody was captivated. It was just boom, and it's just a few times, just a few times. But those times are, if I reflect back on it, which reflection is big, then I
Yep.
understand my experience. I have more choices. When I reflect back on it, it feels very similar to staying with that moment. It wasn't, oh, who's gonna, I'm listening for the last beat of the last drum and then it's done. It was just letting that moment hang
Right.
before I jumped into, "Okay, what's next song?" It's just the moment is there, just let the moment be there. I've been at concerts before where the song ends and everybody's like, "What just happened?" And I feel like maybe that's some kind of like it's settling in our hearts or it's sealing itself in. Um, it's incredible how music can touch the heart, the head, the heart, the gut, everything together. But whew,
And when you said that about your band, it wasn't just you and the band, it was you and the band and the crowd.
that's
You
right.
were all part of
The,
that flow, all part of
it's
that
the whole
moment
thing.
and that feeling, and
It's
yeah,
the whole thing, and that's,
really cool.
similar thank you for saying that because it's similar to the coach and the human, the coach and
Right,
the team. It's not the coach, it's always about the team, but the
right.
coach can see it, witness it, let it hang. We were in Coaching Magic just a few weeks ago, and one of the women in the school, she said before we were learning about energetic listening and all of the fun stuff we study and practice in Coaching Magic, she said um, there was that when someone would cry in the room, she'd go, "Oh no, it's okay. No, it's not a big deal. It doesn't hurt that bad. Like no need to cry." No need to cry. Hand them a tissue and like, let's take a break if someone needs to compose themselves. And she's like, "Oh my
Oh, it's
yes,
backwards.
everything is allowed." Uh, and now she said, "I just let it sit there."
Right,
And the team rose to the occasion. They let it sit there too. And then the human that was, having tears was able to say what was on their mind, and someone else on the team got the tissues. And then someone else on the team asked a question. And how beautiful is that? That they're bonding, they're coming together. And the coach is doing a lot of work right there.
right.
A
Letting it
lot of work right
unfold.
there. Watching it unfold, witnessing it, sensing all of that energy. So we were saying to her, she's like, I kind of felt like I wasn't doing anything. But the
But
point is she was doing a lot
right,
by not doing the silence,
right.
doing a lot by not doing. There
Allowing.
was one other example I wanted to give of this spaces, the spaces
Mhm.
in between. There is, and maybe I knew it as soon as I needed the name. It came to me. Don't you love that?
I do.
Um, they call him the godfather of positive psychology, Marty Seligman or
Oh,
Martin Seligman. I studied him in college, and he's, um, he's older now. And I found a podcast with him, and it was him like current. And it like the title of it was like what I've learned so far about positive psychology. I'm like, oh, I'm over the moon to get, like the latest stuff from the godfather of positive psychology. So I cue this podcast up, and it was the worst thing I'd ever heard. I'm like, what? Like this is, and I knew, I think I
what about
noticed
it?
maybe about 5 minutes into it, my brain could not comprehend what was going on. And my brain was irritated and all of this funkiness. But I think I caught it in about 5 minutes. What had happened was they had taken out all of the pauses. All of the pauses had been taken out. He was on stage doing his, maybe his magnum opus.
Right.
And somehow the podcast was edited down to 30 minutes. And had it took out all of his breath, and I was floored that it made that much difference.
How did you realize that? Like, that's a pretty amazing conclusion to realize that all the pauses, but you're right, without the dramatic, and it's not just dramatic pauses. I think that's how it comes across, but that's not why people are doing it.
Mhm.
You're doing it because you're thinking and being thoughtful or letting something sink in or, allowing. But what made you realize that you may just be just an
I know I'm really
amazing
I'm
coach
really
and you're
feeling
aware of
back
it
into that
probably. Yeah.
moment. What made me realize? I think there were two things. number one, I was so excited. So my attention was really focused because I do think right now that there's probably other podcasts I listen to that maybe have that
Okay.
approach. But I was so excited. So back to David Rock, he said, novelty, human beings love, novelty focuses our attention.
Ah,
So it was novel, new. I found
right,
it. I was very focused. So I was hungry to learn. And then I really do think it's because I know the power of silence.
right.
I think that's why I noticed when it's like you and I, we know how to run a very efficient meeting, don't we? I mean, we can run some efficient motherfucking meetings. So we go, if we go somewhere else, I remember I would go to the PTA meetings and they would drive me insane.
Oh,
Like, no, I will not volunteer for these local things because then I have to go to your meetings and they will drive me insane because
or,
I know what it
a
looks
gala
like.
meeting. I love volunteering. I will never do a gala again because gala meetings, oh my gosh. And, oh, this is bad for my family.
And listen, if you're only listening to this, Kristen just held up her drink and it says, I am a ray of fucking sunshine. I was really excited to get the E on the podcast, like explicit. I'm like, yes.
Because
I
then you
am
can say that. I wasn't drinking out of that just in case.
Oh, I think I'll probably have to or get to play with this with my coach. I will only volunteer if I can be in charge. It's like, oh, what's that all about?
Mm, mm.
Because I don't want to sit in the meetings. Oh
But
boy. This is
allowing the
a lot.
meeting to be efficient and productive and have really
Yeah.
expansive, creative space.
Yes, I was in one just a few days ago, and I'm like, "Oh, I have still not integrated my irritation with ineffective meetings." Okay. Hey, and I love lots of silence in meetings. Ineffective does not mean efficient. Oh, wait, did I say that? Efficient and effective are not the same thing.
Right,
Efficient is like, oh, we skimmed over the agenda, we got a few things done, and we
right,
leave. I mean, effective, I mean, you can do one thing and go really, really deep. And
right.
that's what I like, you
Me
know.
too. Me too.
Um, Kristen, this has been so much fun. And I'm wondering if you want to play one more game.
Sure.
Okay,
I'm
I'm
in.
excited. I'm so excited. Um, okay, this is the first time ever. This is a debut.
Oh,
Okay. For the first time ever on the Coaching Magic podcast. Maybe the first time. Maybe I use them. I'm going to use this new deck of cards to play this game. I'm going to explain the game and then I'll say a little bit about the cards. The game is I'm going to shuffle the cards. Okay, I'm shuffling
okay.
them right now. And then I'm going to pull a card because that's fun. It's the Coaching Magic podcast. Why
Right.
not pull a card? I'm going to pull a card from this deck and then I'm going to show it to you. And you get to share what comes up for you. And then I get to share what comes up for me. But the trick is you get to decide who goes first.
Okay. All
So
right.
then,
And
there we go.
okay.
Now, a little bit about this deck. I have been using the Sweet Ass Affirmations deck. I still love that. But this deck is a deck of cards that I made with
Oh,
Sarah Stern and Pam Kasanke.
cool.
Look, they're published. We've got a prototype going on. Oh, I know.
Is this from the whales?
It's the whale. So today I wore my whale shirt. It's at the magic shows. Look at that
Oh,
cute little whale for the
that is
release for the
awesome.
debut of the Orca card deck. So this might be an entire disaster, and that's okay because the card you held up,
Mm.
everything is allowed. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay.
Drum
So
roll, please.
it's called the Orca deck because
Okay.
there's lots of oracle decks, and so we made an Orca deck. Paradox.
Yep.
You mentioned it. Trickster, funny, humor, lighthearted, opens us up. Okay, here
Okay.
it is. Here it is. Oh boy.
Mm.
Okay, the card is cast the spell. time will tell. Cast the spell,
Yes, this
time will tell.
time tell.
Now, on the back, there is a message, and I'm going to read the message. There's a
Okay.
message, there's an exercise, there's a theme, a metaphor, a paradox. There's even a little transmission from the whale of whispered timing. But
Okay.
I'm going to read the card message, and then we'll
Okay.
see what we got. Here it comes. The card message is say it, mean it, move your energy, then let go. Spells don't work because you obsess, they work because you release. Your job, intention. Time's job, unfoldment. Cast the spell. Time will tell. Oh,
Ooh,
do you want to go
I'm
first or
gonna
do you
let
want me
you
to go
go
first?
first because you seem super excited. I need to process it a little bit.
Okay. Um, Here's what's coming up for me. Uh, we just spoke about when we understand our experience, we have more choices. So for me, this is a very surreal experience. When I had a little poem that came through me that
Oh,
said, Cast the spell, time will tell. And Pam and Sarah picked up on that, and it has now turned itself into this card.
ah,
So I'm now reflecting on this experience of just listening to a little poem that came through me. And now it's in this card. There's an exercise with it. Um, Say it, mean it, move your energy, then let go. So that's the first thing that's coming through me is it's a very surreal experience just listening to it. The other thing that came up for me is when we say cast the spell, I'm just very aware that that could be very triggering for some people. Just like you said coming into coaching magic, magic was like, I'm not sure. And the twist on this that I'm taking, cast the spell is our words. Think about it. We're
mm,
spelling. Cast the spell. Say the thing. Say the thing. And then we don't have to work so hard for it. Say the thing and then let the thing do its thing. That's what I got.
I like that.
That's
Very
what I got.
cool. And I
What I
love the
got.
picture of the orca. I couldn't see that at first until you
Oh,
held it up. He's got the little star. We went whale watching this summer. No orcas. There were orcas in New England, but lots of whales. Very cool.
so
Love it.
cute.
So what came up for me was, well, first I just had to say something that's kind of silly,
We
but
love Billy.
I have to warn my teams, I can't spell. I can sing on key. Someone told me that those are mutually exclusive. I don't know. But I use that line. Someone called me out on that once, but I can't spell it. I sort of want to say to teams, if you can't laugh at that, then I'm not the right fit because
I
you need to
love
begin.
it.
And now I have teams that are hysterical. I'm like, oh, was that a good one? And they're like, oh, yeah. So I can't spell. So cast the spell. Part of my spell is not being able to spell and it causes lots of laughter and it's a vulnerability spot, right? So it's
Share it
vulnerable,
all.
you know.
Share it all. Yeah.
I also think that it reminds me of when we really think about something and we say it and we put it out there in the world and sometimes it comes alive and sometimes it shows up in a different way that we weren't expecting.
Mm.
And you have to and you said this, but this is also something that I learned in yoga was let go of the end result. Let go of how it turns out. And so that's what came up for me was to say it, mean it, but then release it. And maybe the intention of it is more important than the actual I want this to happen. It's more the intention. I want to feel this way. I want them to feel this way. And I think starting with intention is that's part of what comes up for me, in addition to not being able to spell.
I love it. Um, there's there's something a phrase you shared with me, and I almost thought you were gonna say it. I heard it in my mind. This
Ah,
is where I can't tell if this is part of my magic or a part of a detriment that I think I know what you're gonna say. Like, so if I think I know what you're gonna say, am I really listening? Or am I listening to your intuition talking to my intuition? Who knows? So now
Relating.
you said let go, and you shared
Mm.
a phrase with me uh, m- uh, several months ago of let go and let love.
That's my song.
I know. You shared it in your song. It now that you said your reflection, I'm looking at these words I wrote down of your song. I'm feeling you, and you just said, let go, let love. And that is the card. Cast the spell, time will tell. Wow. Now, coaches, if if you're thinking Jill and Kristen they just twisted each other's words, they made something fit into this card.
Mhm.
I will say yes and no, because this is something that coaches do. We encourage the glimmer, we pull a thread, we make metaphors, we see metaphors so that we can help our clients understand their experience. Then they have more choices, right back to that phrase again. But play this game with yourself. Pick something out. Go, there's a tree. How was my session like the tree today? How is my client like this plant? It helps your brain work, and it helps integrate all of your lovely places. So there was some magic happening today with this card and Kristen's song and her reflection of what this card meant to her, and my remembrance of Kristen's beautiful song she shared with me. Very powerful. And there's a paradox of, did we try to make this fit? Maybe we did. So it's both. It's both.
But
It's both.
it's what came up. You said earlier,
Yeah.
it's what came up, and you can't say right, wrong,
No,
that's just
it came up.
yep.
It came up for a reason. These scarf notes were right in front of me for a reason,
Ah!
and I didn't know that's where we were going to go, but I'm so glad we did. Kristen, it has been lovely having you on. Is there a parting statement? Is there some parting wisdom or parting magic you want to leave the coaches with? Any encouragement or um, I don't know, a song?
Oh.
Ooh, there's an invitation.
So I will say that that song came. I went to Kripalu Yoga Institute out in Lenox, Massachusetts, with my good friend Heather, and we did a session called "The Way of the Happy Woman"
Mm,
with Sarah Avant Stover, and we were out walking a labyrinth, and she said, "Come up with some sort of mantra." And we're walking, and I'm thinking 100 different things racing through your mind. And all of a sudden it came to me in song: let go, let love,
mm,
let go, let love. We're dancing in the mud because a lotus grows in the mud. So we're dancing in the mud, but you just have to sometimes from the muck and the mud, something beautiful comes when you
mm,
let go and let love.
mm. What a beautiful message. Let go,
Let
let
love.
love.
We're
The lotus
dancing in the mud.
grows. We're dancing in the mud. Just keep on dancing, coaches. Keep on dancing. Keep on singing. Beautiful. Thank you, Kristen.
Thank
Thank
you, Jill.
you.
This was great. I appreciate it.
Bye. Thank you for playing with me today in the land of coaching magic. If you want more magic, I invite you to explore www.jillyoung.com. This is where you can see all the shenanigans I've created for you to expand your world of coaching. See you there. And remember, you are magic.